Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We've got a packed show today. Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Good morning, guys.
I'm just checking over there, Joy.
I ain't got nothing. No, stop looking over here.
What happened to the
Stay on your side.
You should celebrate because you got this.
This is my side over here. I don't need you peering over the table looking to see what I got over
Remember, this is whatever it takes. So you should be happy. He's got this. Right?
Yeah.
This is exactly what the Cavaliers needed.
Do I look worried?
Refocus. Yes, you do.
No.
Yeah, you do. You got that look.
Wake me up when they get to 4. Hey, how you doing, Joe? How was the weekend?
It was good.
Good. I had a good weekend myself.
Did you? I had a great
I
Sunday
bet
night.
you did.
Yeah.
I bet you did.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's all right. Kawhi ain't coming back. As long as Kawhi don't come back,
We'll get to that later, and we'll get to the Dez Bryant drama in just a minute. But let's start with the Cavs. LeBron's teams had won 21 straight first-round games until yesterday. They were blown out at home by the Pacers in Game 1. LeBron had a triple-double with 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 12 assists, but the Cavs trailed by 19 after the first quarter and by as many as 23 in the game. They also missed 26 three-pointers. Victor Oladipo was the star for the Pacers with 32 points. Let's take a listen to Oladipo and LeBron after the game.
I'm down 0-1 in the first round. I was down 3-1 in the finals. So I'm the last guy to ask about how you're going to feel the next couple of days. They came in and they dictated the tempo. They were more aggressive. They just played inspired basketball, and they just took advantage of everything that we wanted to try to do.
We're fully aware of his team, and we realize it's not going to be easy, but that doesn't mean we're just going to come in here and just fold. We planning on winning. That's why we came to this series. That's why we came to play this game, is to win, not just to come here and just be okay.
Shannon, how much trouble are the Cavs in?
As I said earlier, wake me when they get to 4. I'm not concerned at all. If you look at do I think the Cavaliers will shoot this poorly again in this series? No, I do not. And this is what happens. The Cavaliers are a three-point shooting team. When they're going in, obviously, they can win. But the thing is that when you're not making those shots and you turn the ball over, you get what you got in the first quarter, 33-14. They go, 0 for 6, 0 for 8. They have 5-6 turnovers. And the next thing you know, it's 2-4, it's 4-4. It's 8-4, bam, 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 bam. Next thing you know, it's 21-6. And that's what happened. Do I believe the Cavaliers? It's more likely that the Cavaliers will have better shooting nights moving forward as opposed to Victor Oladipo going 6 for 9 from the three-point line. Do you believe he's going to continue to play like that? If someone would have told Ty Lue, you're going to hold the Pacers to under 100 points, he would take that every single day. Now, the problem that I see for the Cavaliers, and they've had this Achilles heel all year, Skip, what are they going to do with the pick and roll? Are they going to trap it? You can't go up under. So this is what we're going to do now. You just make a conscious decision. I don't care. We're going to trap the pick and roll. We're going to get the ball out of the guy's hand. And we're going to take our chance with Sabonis and Miles Turner. They're big guys rolling to the basket. We'll take our chances because it seems to me that they can make those outside shots. We can't be switching the pick and roll because now you got Oladipo out there dancing with the ball and you got Larry Nance Jr., you got Kevin Love. That's in their favor. And Oladipo, give him credit. He's played unbelievable. I don't think anybody saw this Oladipo in Orlando. You definitely didn't get a chance to see it last year in OKC because Russ was ball dominant. But they played, give them credit. As LeBron said, they came in, they were aggressive, they were decisive. They took care of the basketball early, got this big lead, and they withstood every run that the Cavaliers would try to to throw at them. But am I worried? Absolutely, I am not worried because as he said before, you just heard that man say, am I worried about being down 0-1? In the first round of the playoffs, considering I was down 3-1 to a team that won 73 games in the regular season and had a 2-time unanimous MVP on their roster. Ain't worried at all.
Interesting. So you're not worried, even though you have the 29th ranked defensive team out of 30 NBA teams, and you're telling me about switching pick and rolls. They have been horrendous all year long, guarding anything of any variety, whether you're switching or trying to get through on the pick and roll.
Well, we're going to trap it.
You're going to trap the pick and rolls. You can try all that. You're just a lousy defensive team, and you're going to have to live with that, which is why LeBron James is now in the biggest trouble he has ever been in a first-round series, ever. It's not even close because guess what? He had never, ever, he was 12-0 in home game ones of first-round series, and that was the first one he's ever lost. And I'm going to remind you, I've been telling you this all last week, but the Indiana Pacers are no fluke and no joke. And yesterday for the Pacers was just business as usual because they'd beaten the Cavaliers 3 out of 4 times during the regular season, so now they've beaten them 4 out of 5. And when Victor Oladipo, as we just saw, said we plan to win game 2, which would make it 5 out of 6, I got to tell you, I bought it because this isn't just hopeless, lucky underdog talk. This isn't one game wonder talk. This isn't whistling through the graveyard talk. This is a team that played yesterday with conviction and body language of a team that just thinks it's better than the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it looked better than the Cavaliers yesterday. And I'm going to remind you about Victor Oladipo. I don't know if people noticed this year, but he had a flat-out breakout season.
Yeah, he did.
He had career highs in every offensive category. Scoring, rebounding, assists, and certainly steals because he led the NBA in steals. And by the way, Victor had 4 more yesterday. Boy, he was getting his hands on a lot of LeBron dribbles, wasn't he? Knocking the ball free.
He's a very good two-way player.
He can make things happen. So, bottom line to yesterday, before I get to LeBron, was Indiana won game 1 more than the Cavaliers lost game 1. And Indiana overcame Cleveland's starting 8 because I thought all 3 referees were playing for Cleveland. I've never seen anything like it before.
Stop.
Hey, the Cavs got every call. LeBron got every call, and they lost by 18. Shouldn't that scare you, LaShannon Sharp?
First of all, if they got every call, how did the Pacers shoot more free throws than the Cavs?
They did because they were more aggressive. They were just getting.
But what about the calls?
Fouls. But every time I looked
obvious.
up,
Okay.
LeBron's hacking somebody, and I'm just like, that's not a foul. It got pretty embarrassing for the Cavs, but that's okay.
But I already know what you're doing. I see what you're doing, Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
Because when the Cavaliers come back and win, you're gonna say, "Oh, they gagged." You're not gonna give them credit for winning. You're like, "Oh, he had a cakewalk." See, that's what you do, Skip.
Yeah. So here we are back to game 1, first quarter.
Okay.
And all I'm going to hear for the next 48 hours is LeBron just doesn't have enough help. The other guys got to make threes. Poor LeBron.
No, you ain't got to make threes. Just make shots.
Make shots. Make threes.
It would help.
So, Shannon Sharp,
Yeah.
what happened in quarter number 1 yesterday? You call LeBron the best player on the planet, right?
Yeah, he
You
is.
said LeBron should have won this year's regular season MVP. Am I correct?
Yep.
Where was he? Because the LeBron I was looking for in the first quarter went 0 dark 30 on the basketball court. He didn't score a single basket in the first quarter of the first game of the playoffs.
He had 2.
He made 2 free throws.
Yeah.
By the way, 10 out of 14. That's 71%. So you're already your latest due.
Don't worry about it.
He
about to go
get it back.
Next 2 games. He's gonna go straight
You
through.
better hope so, because
But the game was, Skip, you know how LeBron plays. The game will dictate what he does. The guys were wide open. So you mean to tell me, so let me ask you this. What are the chances that the Cavaliers win a ball game, LeBron scores 24, and the other 4 starters have 25? What's the likelihood of them winning a ball game?
He has to assert himself against a team that I'm sure he believes in his head and heart is inferior. He just has to say, this is my house. I am the king. I'm king. Remember his sneakers at New York. And show them that he's in charge of this game. And when he goes 0 for the first quarter in field goals, and all of a sudden, he's a minus 19, which was the worst of any player on the floor in the first quarter, and he played all 12 minutes. And Oladipo is a plus 19, and the score goes to 33-14. And by the way, 14 was the fewest points the Cavs have scored in the first quarter all year. Whose fault was that? Do I blame that on Jeff Green? I'm not. I'm going to blame it on LeBron James because you're telling me he's the best player on the planet.
Well, hold on.
You got to set the tone. Set the tone.
You can't have it both ways. You can't say it wasn't something that Cleveland didn't do. It what Indiana did do.
Yeah.
So are you going to give Indiana credit, or are you going to take blame from
They
LeBron?
play pretty good defense,
Oh,
but they
nice. Pretty
still don't
good.
have a defender. They don't have the. Come on.
You just said Victor
LeBron James, what's the slogan? Whatever it takes. Well, it's going to take more than 0 field goals in the first quarter.
Is the
from
series?
LeBron.
Hold on. Is the series over?
No, but
So
it's,
one game
it's teetering. It is teetering.
On what?
So then, here's what happened in the second quarter. it starts and 2 minutes go by and the Cavaliers are still struggling. And guess what LeBron James, Iron Man, does? He waves to Ty Lue, take me out. And I'm like, take you out? You're in trouble. You're Iron Man. You played the most minutes of any player in the league. Mm-hmm. You were the only player to play 3,000 plus minutes in the league. And you're waving in game one of the playoffs in the second quarter, take me out, Ty?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah, because
I'm like, come
he
on.
played 5 minutes more than everybody else that was on the court.
Take me out?
He
goes out for 2 minutes, and of course they go from 13 down to 17 down. Okay.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How many guys you know play the first 14 minutes of a ball game in the NBA?
It's Iron Man. He plays close to 48 minutes every night.
We know what he is.
I can't put him up against anybody else.
Why not?
Don't judge him by anybody else because you're always telling me he's the best player on the
how
planet.
many times did Michael the best?
Nobody is in better shape than LeBron James. Then don't wave out in quarter number 2 of the first playoff game. You can't do it, Shannon. It sends a message to your team. I guess he's just not into it today.
Stop. No, it doesn't send that message.
Yeah, it does.
Stop. You being disingenuous. You know
no,
that.
I'm not.
I
am not. If I'm on his team, I'm saying, what?
You said, he's
what?
tired.
He's gassed?
Yes.
We're just getting going here. We're getting our butts kicked.
Hold on. What do you mean we? Huh? He's the only one that played the first 14 minutes of the ball game.
Well, I'm saying if I'm his teammate, I'm saying we're in trouble here. Don't ask out. Don't wave out.
Hold on. LeBron played 12 minutes. Jeff Green played a little under 10. Kevin Love under 8. Rodney Hood played 3:24. George Hill played 8 minutes. Kyle Korver played 3:38.
Yep.
Larry. So
and then, Shannon Sharp, what happened down the stretch? Because with 10 minutes left in the game, LeBron made a driving layup, and I always tell you, nobody can keep him from the rim. Yeah. And that cut it to 7. And I'm thinking, okay, here they come. And then what happened? Nate McMillan calls time, so LeBron gets a little quick blow. And then the Pacers go on a 10-2 run, and LeBron doesn't score in the 10-2 run.
Well, what happened was that you're right. They get it down to 7. Okay, Indiana misses a shot. Cavs come down, turn it over, and the next thing you know, 3-3, boom. Now we're back to where you originally started from. Mm-hmm. I do not believe Rodney Hood will continue to miss those wide open threes. I do not believe Jeff Green will go over for the entire game. If you're going to tell me Jeff Green's going to play almost 27 minutes and score no points, we're going to be in trouble. Rodney Hood. I mean, think about it, Skip. Let this sink in.
He doesn't have enough help.
The other four starters scored one more point than LeBron James did himself.
Do you ever think that they go as the King goes? And if the King sets a first quarter tone, they're going to start feeding off the King's confidence and dominance?
He was trying to get them going by getting them wide open looks at threes. They were not falling. It was almost like someone had a lid on the basket. It was one game, Skip. It's one game. But I already know how you're going to do this. As soon as they come back and win this ball game, you're going to say it was a cakewalk. Yep. That's what you're going to do.
What I'm saying right now is LeBron ran out of gas down the stretch of game number 1 because he ran out of gas in the second quarter and he ran out of gas in the fourth quarter when he took 3 total shots and made one of them. They need more.
How much effort?
He's the guy. He's the MVP, according to Shannon Sharp.
How much effort does it take to come back when you get down 23 points in a ball game? George Hill they set the back screen on George Hill. He tweaked that ankle again. So now LeBron has to carry the load. He doesn't want.
He's Iron Man. He's the MVP.
Skip, stop.
Did you see what the runner-up MVP James Harden did in the fourth quarter against a game Minnesota last night? He scored 14 straight points.
Hold on.
And LeBron scored what in the fourth quarter?
Hold on, tell me.
Help me out.
I'm glad you said I got the notes right here.
Help me out.
James Harden played 41 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
But guess
14 straight points.
Guess who he has on the roster? Chris Paul, who played a lot of minutes.
Yeah,
so let me
Chris
get this
Paul
right.
was horrible last night, by the way.
38. So James Harden, they got an equal contribution. Equal contribution. Chris Paul had 14. Clint Capella had 24 and 12. Where's LeBron at? Who else had double figures with LeBron? I'm trying to see on LeBron's team who had double figures with him on the starting lineup. Skip, I'm trying to figure who had starting. Hold up.
Yep.
Jeff Green, 0 points. Kevin Love, 9. Rodney Hood, 9.
Man. The poor man just doesn't have enough help. He never has enough help. And as I said all year long, he's playing the most minutes in the league to build in an excuse for the postseason where he can say, I ran out of gas.
So let me ask you this.
Ran out of gas?
So what is it? Okay, he never has enough. Is it he never has enough help, or is the East a cakewalk? Now you got to pick one. You
I already
can't
told you. I apologized to Philadelphia and the city of Indianapolis, and I said I'm overlooking the Sixers, who rose and shone. We're going to talk about them later because they are exploding on the NBA right now.
So when they beat Indiana, they beat the Sixers. What will you say then?
Well, they're not going to beat. They're not going to beat the 76ers.
Okay,
I already picked it.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about
We're going
that.
to see.
So
But
now let's get down to LeBron's quote, which made me laugh out loud last night when I saw it. That he says, "I'm the last guy to ask about how I'm going to feel over the next 2 days because I'm the guy who was down 3-1 in the NBA Finals to Golden State." This is totally different than that. When that happened, nobody expected LeBron to go win Game 5 because they had already gone to Golden State in Game 1 and lost by 15, and then they lost Game 2 at Golden State by 37. So they had basically gotten blown out at Golden State twice already. So when they go back to Golden State, where Golden State had been that year 39-2 at home, what did everybody think was going to happen until Draymond got suspended? That was the turning point of that series. He got suspended in large part because he audibly yelled at LeBron the B word. He called LeBron the B word, and it changed everything because they didn't have their guts and glue guy for Game 5.
What about
Here
Game 6? Did he play in Game 6?
There was no pressure on LeBron. They were the hopeless underdog at that point. They are no longer the hopeless underdog against Indiana because most people would still think Indiana is still the underdog.
So let me ask you a question. You won't answer me. What happened in Game 6 and 7? Were those games not played?
No,
did
they
Draymond?
played.
Which game did Draymond miss? 6 or 7?
He played
Which game did
6 and
Steph
7.
Curry miss?
Yeah.
5, 6, or 7?
Yeah.
What about Clay?
He was pretty horrible in 6 and 7.
Oh, he's pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Because see, I already know how this story is going to play out, Skip.
Yeah.
You're going to find a reason to try to diminish when he comes back. And I'm telling you, he's coming back. They're going to win this series.
Okay.
Maybe the series goes longer than I anticipated. Maybe it goes longer than anyone anticipated. But the Cavaliers will win this series. And when they do, you will come up with an excuse to say they gagged.
I don't need
They
an
don't
excuse.
have. Yeah, you do.
If LeBron takes over the game, I say he took over the game.
No.
Did he take over this game? No,
No.
he did not. And yet he's saying, I'm not worried about a Game 2 in which it's not a must win, but it's wouldn't you agree, a better win?
But Skip,
you'd better win.
Skip, you make it seem like LeBron is the only guy that's the only superstar that's never taken over a ball game. There are a lot of games that Michael Jordan didn't take over in the playoffs. You remember that closeout game and the one they won against Seattle? Tell the people at home what Michael Jordan was. Well, I happen to know. He was 5 of 19, 21 points. They won.
Shannon, he went 6-0.
See, there
in the
you go.
finals. That's all I need to know. What's the bottom line? 6-0 with 6 MVPs. That's all I need to know.
So
he missed a last-second shot in Game 5 at the United Center. I was there covering the team in 1998. And he said after the game, it was cute. That's what he said. It was just cute. And I'm like, it was cute? Because he said, I still got this. And what happened in Game 6? Tell the people at home what happened in Game 6. How did they win at the end? Michael stole the ball from Karl Malone and dribbled the length of the floor and gave a little slick little push to Byron Russell and just swished it.
No,
held the pose.
No,
held the pose.
I'm not talking about that game.
It's called clutch gene.
I'm talking about Seattle. I'm talking about Seattle. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Seattle.
This. That's fine.
Oh, see? But then what?
Did they win? Yes.
So what? Hold on.
They won.
What did Indiana win? They won a game. Is the series over? You're talking like the series is over.
For the first time in LeBron's career, he lost a
so that's what it is.
one.
So
no,
that's why the
not
sky's
what I
falling.
already said that's what it is.
That's what the
They're
sky's
in
falling?
trouble. They're in big trouble. Yeah. What happens if they lose Game 2? No sweat? No sweat.
What you talking about?
Hey, is it do or die? Is it do or die?
No.
No? Oh.
Wake me up when they get to 4.
Okay.
When they get to 4, then we'll have a conversation.
You mean when Indiana sweeps them? Then we'll have a conversation. Is that what you're talking
Man,
about?
stop playing.
No, I'm serious about that. And you keep saying, hey, we held them to 98. No, you didn't hold them to 98. The Pacers play slow. Their pace of play was tied for 23rd in the league. They like to slow it down and dribble the balls steadily up the floor and run their offense. They love to run their offense. So all I need to know is Cleveland lost by 18. They got held to 80 points. That's all you need to know.
If somebody would have skipped, they held a team to 39, under 40% shooting threes, under 45% shooting from the field.
But I mean, they made 39% of their threes. That's pretty good. And it's just one guy making them basically because
Oladipo.
Look at Bogdanovich. He goes 1 for 6.
Yeah.
And Darren Collison goes 1 for 4. And Lance goes 1 for 4.
Okay.
So that didn't hurt you. What if they start making their threes? What if, God forbid, wait a minute. What if Victor starts getting help?
The Cavaliers are 3rd in 3 points made, 6th in 3-point percentage. So what's more likely to happen? The Cavaliers start making their threes and shoot a higher percentage, or the Indiana Pacers continue this hot streak with the way Oladipo played? Which is more likely to happen, Skip Bayless?
So the cute little underdogs have now won 4 out of 5 against Cleveland this year.
What did they win for that?
What's history telling
What did they
here?
win? History?
Recent history is saying, maybe the Pacers know how to beat the Cavs.
I remember the Nets. With a team LeBron. You know, they had swept them in the regular season, didn't they, Joy? Swept them. What happened? With KG, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson, what happened, Skip?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right.
But you know what? These Pacers still have that secret weapon, Lance.
Stop playing, Skip.
Does he not bother LeBron?
No, he does not bother LeBron.
Yes, he does. He bothered him yesterday. And you know what? I'm just fine.
How'd he bother him when the man got a triple-double, Skip?
I'm just fine. He had no real impact on this game. I'm fine when Lance hard fouls LeBron, and if he's going to get a tech or
What did Nate McMillan say? He had to get him up out of there.
Yeah.
Lance is like medicine, Joy. He works best in small doses. And that's what you got to do. Because he's going to go.
Doses, man.
He's going to go over the edge.
Yeah.
All I know is this: how many series in which Lance Stephenson's been on one team, LeBron on the other, and Lance Stephenson's team has won that series? How many times, Skip? 0.
Who was the star on all those teams for Lance Stephenson? George Paul was the star.
He's not
George
the star
Paul.
on this team.
Oladipo
is.
I'm just saying.
Okay, then.
I trust Oladipo in clutch situations far more than I trust George Paul.
The man has 1 year. Now all of a sudden you're a Victor Oladipo fan.
He was really good this year in every cap. This team was 6 games better than George Paul's team last year.
Okay.
6 games better.
But you said the East is a cakewalk, so that should be the
I already
qualifying.
apologized. I apologized to Indiana. They were under radar until they suddenly emerged late. They won 7 of their last 10, and all of a sudden I'm saying, wait a second, this team's pretty good.
You and I both know Lance Stephenson has no bearing on LeBron James.
I think
you
he has
know
big-
that. Stop it, Skip.
Yep.
You remember last
He
year?
needs to
Do you remember
flavor it.
last year?
It's fine.
Do you remember last year? 33, 9 and 9. That's what he averaged in the series.
Do you remember what George Paul did down the stretch of those games? Do you remember? Can't trust him.
No, one game he didn't. One game he missed a 3. Another game he didn't take the shot.
Didn't
Okay,
take
it
the
happens.
shot. Okay,
it happens.
It happens
Yeah,
a
it
lot.
happens.
Huh.
I love Skip. You need to stop now because you got people at
You
home
know who needs
thinking.
to start is
you
LeBron
got people
James.
at home.
If he's the MVP of this league, he'd better guard Victor Oladipo in game
He
2.
He guarded Oladipo. He guarded Collison, and then they go elsewhere with the ball.
Yeah.
He can't. There's only one
I
of him.
saw LeBron playing a lot of zone yesterday. He just kind of goes and just hangs back by the goal.
What we got on game? What we got on game 2? What we got on game 2? What we got on game 2?
They should win.
We got a
They
couple
should win.
days
They're
to figure that
favored.
out.
What we got on game
They're
2?
favored. Come on.
What they got to do with anything? They were favored yesterday.
Why would I bet on game 2?
Exactly. Put something on it.
We'll see. We do have time for that.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Let's put it on the series right now. No. You said pull the tape. You said if
I
they win
did.
game 1. Well, come on, put something on
You
it.
know what? I slept on it, and I don't want to root against LeBron.
And you
James.
know what?
I don't. I'm serious. I don't want him to go away. I'm afraid if I put it on, I'll win because I've been beating you like crazy.
You're crazy.
Because if I do it, it'll be
Do
over
it.
for.
Do
I
it.
want,
Yeah,
do I want LeBron to drop out of the playoffs?
We don't want a LeBron-less
Come on, I can't.
playoffs.
I want to see LeBron against. When we get, I told you, Sixers will have 10 cases on it. I love the Sixers.
Like Bron, man, Skip betting against me. Let me go ahead and lose. You know good well.
No, I don't want to.
I want to.
I'm hot right now, and I don't want to.
You ain't hot.
I've been hot.
No mercy.
Hey guys, Joy Taylor here. More Undisputed is on the way, but first, a quick word about Buffalo Wild Wings. There's a new boss in town at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he deals in bacon. It's the Bacon Boss Burger, featuring bacon 3 different ways and a blanket of white cheese sauce. And he's joined by other new favorites, like the smothered cheesesteak quesadilla, sweet chili shrimp, and Alaska Cod Classic. All pair perfectly with a Sam 76, a fruity ale with the crisp finish of a lager. Hurry in today and try them all before they're gone at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly.
No mercy.
Dez Bryant was released by the Cowboys on Friday after 8 seasons in Dallas. After he was released, Dez tweeted that it was not his decision, and he called out a lot of people, telling NFL Network that the, quote, Garrett guys are to blame. This was referring to the team captains, which include people like Dak Prescott, Jason Witten, and Sean Lee. Let's take a listen to Dez on Jerry Jones' decision.
Jerry Jones, he loved me to death, and I love him too. I honestly believe in my heart, this was a hard decision for him, but is when it's 5 or 6 guys at a table against one guy, you got to do it. It was an unfair situation, because if they did want to, get rid of me, they could have told me that. They could have told me that, and I would have respected that, just like I told Jerry in the meeting. I respect his decision.
Shannon, what do you make of this?
Skip, this move was inevitable, but it was handled very, very poorly. Stephen Jones said before they went to the Combine, which was in, I think, the second week of February, that they were going to have this conversation sooner rather than later.
Yep.
They had this conversation almost 7 weeks after Stephen Jones made his original statement. My thing is, why would it take you so long? You had a general idea. We've been talking about this for the longest, Skip. They're either going to ask him to take a pay cut or they're going to outright release him. If I'm Dez, and I fought Dez some of this also, you got to have your representation. Rock Nation said, look, Jerry, we need to have a conversation. Because if you're going to release Dez or you're going to ask him to take a pay cut, can we have this sooner rather than later? Yep. So when free agency start, maybe I can get one of those Allen Robinson deals. Maybe I can get one of those Sammy Watkins deals. But it was handled poorly. Dez is blaming everyone. Dez could have made this a moot point, Skip. When Dez is alone with himself and he's with his own thoughts, does 750 yards and a couple of touchdowns, does that warrant $12.5 million? Does 6 touchdowns and under 1,000 yards, does that warrant $12.5 million? Skip, they had 3 years of declining production, and Jerry left him at that salary. Dez, do you honestly believe if Jerry Jones wanted you on that team, you wouldn't be on that team? Skip, Jerry Jones, this is what, on the cutting block on Jerry Jones' resume. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders, Larry Allen. 4 first ballot Hall of Fame guys that Jerry Jones said, you know what, guys? The money that you're scheduled to make next year, we don't think you're worth it. You see, when I got released from the Broncos, when they didn't re-sign me in free agency, it was easy. Mike Shanahan was not only the head coach, he was the general manager.
Yep.
So he couldn't say, well, I want you, but the coach doesn't.
Yep.
He can't say, I want you, but the GM doesn't. Hell, he wore both hats. Jerry Jones has made it abundantly clear on how many occasions, Skip, the buck stopped with him. When Jerry wants something, he gets it. The only problem that I have is that Jerry waited so long, because if you're going to release him or if you're going to ask him to take a pay cut, you could have done this in February and give him a fair opportunity to go out into the free agent market. But Dez, don't do that. Don't say it's Jason Witten, and I get it. Because, like, hold on. Jason Witten, when last time Jason Witten had a 100-yard game? When last time he ran away from somebody? But y'all come from my money. Dez, don't talk about this about the captain, about you didn't become a captain. So what? You go out there for the coin toss. What? That's not. Come on, Skip. And I get it. The frustration, the anger, because you've been there for such a long time, and you feel they don't, Skip. It's hard to handle rejection when you come to the realization they no longer want you. That's tough. But Dez, the question is now, is it about revenge or about getting in a situation that can help you show what you're capable of? For me, when I left Denver, Skip, it wasn't to prove them wrong. It was to prove me right, to prove that I can still play at a high level. Dad, you believe you can? Go find you a good team, go win, and prove to the Cowboys that you still got it.
So you make a fair point about the timing of this, but let's look at the statement issued by one Jerry Jones. And you and I have talked about this for a couple of years now. Jerry's statement after releasing Dez was, Dez and I share a personal and professional relationship that is very strong, and he is one of just a handful of players with whom I have become that close to over the past 30 years. So all those guys, those first ballot Hall of Famers, I don't think Jerry was as close to any of those as he was to Dez Bryant.
Probably only Michael.
I'm not even sure about that in the end, because Michael had his issues, and Jerry kept sort of covering for him and defending him until it got pretty dicey in the end. But I think that the biggest soft spot in Jerry's heart was for one, Dez Bryant. So I can argue with you, he just procrastinated. You know, he just put it off until the last second because he's going to count against the cap. I think it's starting today. There's a deadline coming up money-wise. I can also argue that the cold-blooded businessman in Jerry was saying, well, if I'm going to do this, I should just wait. I should wait, because obviously, of all people, Jerry doesn't want Dez to come back and haunt the Dallas Cowboys. So what's the best way to keep him from haunting is to not let him go to the team of choice. You know, make it bargain basement. Make it where he has to scramble to find a team and a spot where other teams have all given out their cap money and they have bet on this number one receiver and that number two receiver.
The draft is, 10 days away now, Skip? So they've set their board as far as receivers. But I felt, Skip, all along, I said, Skip, they're going to box him in. They're going to put him in a situation. The free agency is going to be dried up. We're going to be a couple of weeks out for the draft. And everybody's like, well, man, if I knew Dez was available, I could have done X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But
okay, would you want Dez to come back and haunt you if you're Jerry Jones? Didn't you now rig the system as best you could to keep him from coming back to haunt you?
I agree with that,
it?
Skip. Yeah. But if that's what you read in that statement is true, he owed it to Dez to let him go. If you love me as much, if he's as close as you said he is, you let him go.
Well,
because you don't.
Said he is.
It's simple. My grandfather said, boy, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And Jerry Jones is saying, Dez, for them $12.5 million, that production you give me, it doesn't make sense.
Yep. Okay, now back to Dez's contention that the Garrett guys got him. Dez, you were a Garrett guy. That's just me, because I watched Jason Garrett for years coddle Dez, protect Dez, defend Dez to the media, keep Dez in the starting lineup last year, and more important, in the game plan last year, because 1/4 of Dak Prescott's passes last year went to 88. Boy, I got to tell you, I know Jerry has some input into this, but that's Jason Garrett. He's basically the offensive coordinator when it comes to game planning, and so he could pull the plug on Dez Bryant or not, and that's when I'm over here just pounding the desk Monday after Monday. Where is Bryce Butler? Because he's faster than Dez. He's healthier than Dez. He can actually get open in ways that Dez no longer could get open. And I think we both agreed from the start, starting in Game 2, the debacle at Denver, that Dez Bryant's broken down. He's lost a step that he couldn't afford to lose because he doesn't run many routes to start with, and he's lost confidence because he led the NFL in drop passes. So to me, as I've been saying now for, a couple of months, the Dallas Cowboys are better off without Dez Bryant. They don't have an answer. They don't have another Dez waiting in the wings. But I still say the offense will be better next year all around because Dak will be able to spread the ball. He won't be so Dez conscious, Dez dependent.
And again, that's Dallas's fault, Skip, because if you release Dez in the beginning, maybe you're in play to make a play for Allen Robinson. Maybe you're in play to make a play for Sammy Watkins. By all
reports, they made a big play for Sammy Watkins, and they just came up a few dollars short.
But just imagine if you had all that $16 million cap space. Imagine what you could have done.
Maybe.
Because with Dez still on your roster, that guy's like, hold on. So what did they tell him? Because if they knew they were going to release Dez, they owed him that because he's looking at what Dez is still on your roster. So if I come there, Dez in his mind thinks he's the number one. I know what you told me. I know what you're paying me. But as long as Dez is at 88 on the Cowboys, Skip, what does he believe?
But remember, once they made their play, reportedly for Sammy Watkins, then Dez was already effectively cut. It was just a matter of telling him. Right?
And that's
because you already had that money to play with in your mind because you're going to cut him before the deadline.
But why not go ahead, Skip? Why not let that man get an opportunity to go on the free agent market? Why not? If you care about him, that much,
Shannon, this isn't church, right?
Oh, I know
it's not church football, right?
I know it's lip service.
I'm sorry.
So turn that what you read. Oh, he done got close to somebody for 30 years, and he done released some of everybody.
Professional relationship that is very strong. Only a handful of players have I had this kind of relationship.
But I'm gonna hold on to you, so you can't go get max dollars on the free agent market, and everybody be done signed all the guys, and their working days go.
Yep. Well, to me, you make a fair point, but that's just Jerry being Jerry. In the end, his his sort of head overcame his heart. And I'm sure Stephen Jones had a lot to do with that. I'm sure Jason Garrett and the captains all had a lot. It was screaming. It was clear.
Yeah.
Wasn't it clear to everybody?
Except probably Dez.
He's not Dez, except for Dez Bryant. But to me, this is just more childish lashing out.
Yes.
From
it hurts,
Dez.
Skip. It hurts. I've been there.
I got it.
Dez, I've been there. I was 10 years with the Broncos.
But to your point, this is a Dez who was never forced by Jerry Jones to grow up in Dallas. And now he's going to be forced to grow up.
Yeah.
And I think it could be great for both parties because Dez is now going to be forced to pick up and move somewhere else for the first time in a long time.
He's going to have to get out of that comfort zone.
Well,
He's going to have to learn a new system because what Dez Bryant accomplished in Cowboys, it's not transferable.
Nope.
You don't get to say, oh, I'm here. No, bro.
Yep.
You start all over. It's like being in school and you move when you're young. You got a bunch of friends over here, but you go there, you don't get to bring them friends with you. You got to build new friends. So you got to start a new resume at a new locale, Dez. You can do it. But don't, and we see this far too often. When Richard Sherman got released, what was the first thing he said? I want to go somewhere that plays the Seattle Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Well, he did it one better. He went to the same division, and now he got an opportunity to play them twice.
He did?
I didn't worry about revenge, Skip. Yep. I'm trying to win because if I worry about getting back at people, how in the hell do I get ahead of them?
Okay, so Dez says, give me the NFC East. Now let's look quickly at the NFC East. Do the Giants want another Odell type personality who can't even play like Odell?
Washington could use him.
Washington could use him. Philly, I don't think they want to throw that grenade into the locker room with Dez Bryant with all the personalities they got, right?
No.
I don't think so.
I
But
mean,
maybe Washington.
Can he go to – well, I mean, Skandrick went to the Washington.
But they spent a bunch of money for Paul Richardson from the Seahawks.
I know.
So I don't know. I don't know. You know, for me, the best fit for him is with Ozzie Newsome because that team will take you did it, right?
Yeah.
They got veteran wide receivers.
They got slugs.
You know, and just figure it out. You just sort of it's a new life with a new mentality. It's like a really professional atmosphere with Ozzie. I know this is last year's, right?
And they had great success with Steve Smith Sr.
They did. They sure did. So, I know there are a lot of reports the Texans would be interested. I would not wish Dez Bryant on Deshaun Watson. Seriously. He can stunt your growth, man. He's difficult.
Yeah.
And at some point, when he won't run the route tree that you used to run, he's going to be more trouble than he's worth.
Well, who knows? Maybe this change will be what forces him to do that.
I hope so.
Yes.
Revenge is winning, after all.
Yeah.
Next up, the Patriots' voluntary workout program starts today, but according to Adam Schefter, it will not include Rob Gronkowski. Gronk is reportedly still considering whether to play next season, but he's had, quote, good communication with the team. Tom Brady is also not expected to be at workouts because he is out of the country with his family. Shannon, is this a big deal or no big deal?
I think it's a big deal considering what they've gone through over the last year, Skip.
Yep.
And this is not normal that they are not in attendance to start the off-season conditioning.
Yep.
They're normally there. And you're talking about the two most prominent, the two most important players in that organization. Somehow, coincidentally, all of a sudden, they don't show up the very same day. I've always felt Gronk waffling back and forth, do I want to play, do I not want to play, was about the contract.
Yep.
Skip, he saw Sammy Watkins just get 16 a year. He just saw Jarvis Landry just get, $15 million a year.
Yep.
He saw the money Paul Richardson got. He saw Allen Robinson. And Gronk is sitting back like, I'm way better than those guys. And I'm making a little measly 8, and I get it. See, the problem that I have with Team Skip, I get it.
Yep.
If you sign a contract, ask Dez Bryant, you don't give them the production that they think, they release you. But when you give them more than the production that you signed, but you signed the contract.
Yep.
And that's what the Patriots are holding him to. You signed this contract, but you and I both know when you play for the New England Patriots and you do not play up to their expectations, they will release you. So Gronk says, I've superseded my contract. Y'all need to come see me. Now, if I'm going to get hurt and get beat up and have my body, it's a lot easier to do it, Skip, when I got $35, $40 million guaranteed over the next 2 years. Because he's looking at these guys and he's like, hold on, wait a minute. You mean to tell me Sammy Watkins has been nicked just as much as I have? Allen Robinson missed the entire year last year. And Jarvis Landry, although he's not, he's a slot receiver. He can't give you the kind of production I give you. I got more touchdowns in 2 years than Jarvis Landry has in 4. And you mean to tell me this is all I'm going to make? That's what this is about. Now, you mean to tell me Tom Brady, It just so happened. It just his charity event that he had to go over to Qatar. Just so happens it started, or it was carrying on, or it was ending a day after they started off-season conditioning. Now, you mean to tell me a man that plans everything down to the T, and it just so happens, little shot, little subtle shot, Coach Belichick. Oh, you think you running things? But old me and Gronk, we about to tag team. You know, Gronk want to be a wrestler. We about to tag team you.
I think you're right. I think that just happened. I get the feeling that slowly but surely this whole team is starting to turn on Bill Belichick. It's no longer in Bill we trust or in Bill we fear, because they used to fear him. Now I think they've lost a lot of faith in him, a lot of trust in him. And I don't think they fear him nearly as much, because one after another is starting to speak out against Bill Belichick. And the epic fail irony to this whole development is it all revolves around this one single player who changed life in Seattle. What do you always tell me about the beginning of the end of the Seahawks dynasty was?
The goal line, threw the ball.
Threw it. So you had a whole Seahawks locker room out of its mind over why didn't you just hand it to Beast Mode?
That is correct.
And meanwhile, you had a Kyle Arrington getting so torched in the secondary for the New England Patriots down the stretch of that Super Bowl that either Patricia or Belichick said, put the kid from West Alabama, the undrafted rookie, in. Malcolm Butler? Nobody really even knew who Malcolm Butler was. And you said the other day, he just might have made the greatest defensive play in the history of the Super Bowl, right?
Forget the Super Bowl, the history of the NFL.
Okay, all right. So in the history of the NFL, Malcolm Butler, who is Malcolm Butler? And now we came full circle to last year's Super Bowl, and what happened?
He didn't play a single snap.
He didn't play a single snap, while Bill Belichick's defense is getting rung up by 41 points from Nick Foles. Nick Foles, the backup Philadelphia quarterback, while Malcolm Butler stands over there with tears in his eyes on the sideline. So we have a flip here, all revolving around Malcolm Butler. And I'm going to read a quote from Danny Amendola, who is now a Miami Dolphin, who just happened to be at a charity event in Boston over the weekend and was interviewed by ESPN.com. And he made this statement about the Malcolm Butler situation. I have my thoughts about it because I was out there putting my blood, sweat, and tears out on the field that night, and one of our best players wasn't on the field. To tell you the truth, I don't know why. I did ask, but I didn't get any answers. I know Malcolm is a great player, and he could have helped us win. For whatever reason, he wasn't out there. I hate to see a guy who works so hard throughout the season not get a chance to play in the biggest game of the year and really get no explanation for it. That's from a Danny Amendola, who said he still thinks Belichick's the greatest coach ever, but he's also a blankety blank.
Yeah.
You know, he can be a real jerk. I'll just say jerk. Okay?
He's north end over southbound.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah. And again, he's just laying. Danny Amendola has a little distance now where he doesn't have to go in and face Belichick today, and he's just saying, I don't know what just happened, but I think we lost because he wouldn't play this guy.
But we've seen guys depart before and never take shots at Coach Belichick.
Heck no.
But see,
nobody.
And here's the thing, Skip, and you get this. You get a lot of this when you lose the ball game, because if they had won the ball game, no one would have questioned why Malcolm Butler didn't play.
No.
Just why no one.
Maybe Belichick would have gotten credit for playing Eric Rowe.
Well, Coach Belichick is the only head coach that could have done something like this and have to offer no explanation except it was a coach's decision. Normally, you have to explain. But when you win 5 Super Bowls, Skip, when you've had the luxury and the success that they've had, he offers you no explanation, and we just got to take it, and we're left like Danny Amendola, who's there practicing all week. He says he doesn't know why. But the same reason that they put, Malcolm Butler in there, no one questioned why Kyle Arrington got benched. Because the outcome was in your favor. The outcome.
You could also see. You could just see Kyle Arrington couldn't guard anybody.
Exactly.
They're just bombs away. Russell Wilson.
We've never seen anything like this, Skip. I mean, the Patriots, that fortress was solidified, was solid, and all of a sudden, brick by brick, we see things starting to get out that never used to get out. Maybe that's by choice. Maybe Coach Belichick wants part of the story to get out. Maybe Tom Brady wants part of his story. You hear Gronk and you hear all these guys. But 5 years ago, we never heard anything like this. And now it's almost like They're just like any other team. It's just like you hear all this information like,
They are.
wow.
They're just like the rest. So I'm going to say this one more time. I said it before. I'm sure people laugh or scoff or ridicule. But we agree Bill Belichick got ordered at the trade deadline to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, who was his guy, his diamond in the rough that he picked in the second round, who looked like he was ready to take over the New England Patriots as a starting quarterback next year.
Yes.
And Robert Kraft said, sorry, I'm with Tommy.
Right.
Tommy says he can play for 4 more years. I'm going with it at that point. This is at the trade deadline, and boom, Bill Belichick said, okay, watch this. And basically said to me, he said, screw you, watch what I do. And he handed Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick to the San Francisco 49ers, who then paid him top quarterback.
Well, hell, he gave Jacoby Brissett away for a busted-up receiver that can't fight. He couldn't play in Indy. He can't play in Baltimore. So basically, you gave away a quarterback that, at worst case, going to be a quality backup for many years to come for a receiver that can't get on and stay on the field.
And I could be wrong about this, but I believe the Cleveland Browns would have given one of their top ones for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
That fourth overall.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been surprised at all. So then, double jeopardy, we get to the Super Bowl, and it sure felt like Bill Belichick was trying to sabotage Tom Brady's chances of winning a 6th Super Bowl. And you can say, well, that's biting off your, cutting off your nose to spite your own face. But I don't know. He was pretty wounded, it looked like to me, by Robert Kraft for the first time ever saying no to Bill Belichick. Okay, then I won't play Malcolm Butler. And the locker room still can't get over it just the way the Seattle locker room couldn't get over Malcolm Butler intercepting a ball that they said should have been handed off.
Isn't that ironic? Malcolm Butler took apart the Legion of Boom, and now he might be the catalyst that takes apart the Patriots.
He just might.
Because know what, Skip, I think this is the first time. I mean, the Patriots think they're going to win, but they thought there's no way Philly could beat us. There's no way.
They thought that.
Yeah,
Especially if you told them going in that they would score 33, they would think, we got this.
We playing a backup. I mean, think about it. You're playing the team's backup quarterback. You're like, oh, they can't beat us. Kind of like, because think about it, Skip. I'm sure the Rams thought the very same thing. They're not going to beat us with no backup Tom Brady. And lo and behold, one game and Malcolm Butler, and you hear Danny Amendola's like, I ask questions. I don't believe he asked Coach Belichick.
They sound eerily like the Seahawks did after that Super Bowl.
And I don't think they're going to get over this anytime
No.
Skip,
they chronicle this. Yeah. They don't chronicle Week 14 games. They chronicle Super Bowls. This is one of the biggest upsets in Super Bowl history. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a very tough pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm. And Amendola's final comment that I did not read was, Malcolm Butler is a great player who has many more great years left in him in this league. So if he continues to play at a high level in Tennessee, look out.
So, yeah, they better hope he just falls off a cliff in Tennessee. Because if people go to a Pro Bowl,
no mercy. Victor Oladipo had 32 points in the Pacers' blowout win over the Cavs yesterday. And out west, Paul George had 36 points, including a franchise record 8 3-pointers in the win against the Jazz. As you may recall, George was traded to OKC for Oladipo and Sabonis in July. Shannon, who got the better of the trade?
I didn't see it at the time with the trade, but I believe Indy got the better of the
Really?
deal. Yeah, I do. Because they get a guy that's going to turn 26, I think, in a couple of days. They got him for 3 more years at $21 million a year. And you look at his body, Skip, he looks like a different player. He looked like he had a little soft. He got himself in shape.
He did.
He went up from 16 points a night to 23 points a night. He's a damn good two-way player. So is Paul George, so don't get me wrong. But I think he's better suited for this. He's in a starring role. He can play this role. Paul George, I'm not surprised that we've seen Paul George have games like this. We've seen this, Eastern Conference Finals. We've seen him in the playoffs put up huge numbers, 40-point nights. The question that people that always ask of Paul George, where's the consistency, bro? You go give us 40 one night and give us 18 the following night.
Correct.
You say you're a superstar and you want to be thought of and such. We need you to play at a level of consistency. But I believe Indiana got the better of this deal because they got Sabonis, and Sabonis is a good guy off the bench. But now you're going to make it a slam dunk. They got to re-sign Paul George. Now, that 5-year, $205 million for Russell Westbrook kicks in next year. So how much money are you going to be with? He wants a max deal, Skip. I don't know what max is, probably $180, maybe a little more. But right now, for me, I think Indiana got the better of the two deals because I think Victor Oladipo had a better year than Paul George had.
Very interesting. To your point, obviously, not most people, everybody thought this was a terrible trade for Indiana, including the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who thought for a moment that he had Paul George coming to him. And he indicated that I thought Indiana could get a little more than that, and Indiana got a whole lot. So I'm not going to waffle on this because I rarely say this, but I think this was the rare classic trade that was great for both teams. Because to me, Paul George is, I've said this a million times for a lot of years, he is not the classic face of a franchise superstar who can lead you to the promised land. I don't think he's comfortable in that role. He is a much better lower pressure sidekick to a Russell Westbrook because some nights, like last night, he looks like a superstar, right?
Yeah.
But he's also comfortable in that role where if he just scores 12 points on a given night, he'll be fine with it.
Right.
If Russ just takes over the game and triple doubles at high numbers, you don't hear a peep from Paul George because he likes that role. He's fine with it. But Victor Oladipo was not fine with it.
No.
He shrank in that role. He was unhappy. He felt handicapped in that role. And now he has blossomed as he went, quote unquote, back home. He's not originally from Indiana, but as you know, he played for 3 years at IU. So he's back kind of in his comfort zone, stomping ground with a coach who, when he walked in the door, said, "You are my man."
Right.
And Victor Oladipo wants to be the solo star. He wants all the pressure on his shoulders. And Victor Oladipo has proven to me over time in this league that he's a better late-game clutch shooter than Paul George has been. I want the ball in Oladipo's hands because he's going to make something happen. I never have been comfortable with I call him, as you know, George Paul. But what did he do? Didn't he come up small against your Cavaliers last year? Remember game one where he turned down two shots in the last few seconds? And then he missed another three. And going back to the regular season game he had missed. And so what happened on Saturday in Oklahoma City? The media was talking to Paul George, and he said, "You're about to see playoff P." Playoff P? Who has ever heard of playoff P?
Y'all know about playoff Paul?
No, didn't know playoff
Y'all
P.
know about playoff?
So could we see Melo and Russ get asked about it after last night's game and see how they reacted to playoff P?
Can you just talk about playing with playoff P finally and just getting a chance to see him getting it going like that?
That's his name? Playoff. That's the new name? I don't know. I'm gonna let Russ answer that one. Playoff P.
They're laughing at it. They're laughing at playoff P.
Everybody know about playoff P.
Huh?
Everybody know about playoff P.
Nobody
Everybody
knows
know about
it. Playoff P. Melo just started laughing out loud about it.
That's what he called himself?
Playoff P? Playoff P? Come on. What are you talking about? So this is the same guy. Joy will remember this, but Heat versus Pacers going back to 2013 conference finals, game 7 in Miami. What happened to playoff P in that game? Do you remember that game? He went 2 for 9 and 1 for 4 from 3, and he was a minus 14 in that game, and Miami won in a big blowout. Yeah. And then game 6 was the closeout game in Miami in 2014. And Paul George was a minus 28 in that game and just came up small. And to me, he's always been a poor man's LeBron, or as I said the other day, maybe a destitute man's LeBron, because he's another who, like the Raptors, steps on the floor with LeBron and he just shrinks. His arms shrink. He becomes like a baby raptor, does Paul George. So to me, he's in a perfect spot where the pressure in Oklahoma City is mostly on Russ's shoulders.
Correct.
Right? Everybody
Correct.
expects Russ to rise and shine in
Correct.
the playoffs. And now Russ has got a lot of help from Paul George and some help from Carmelo. So at least they have 3 quote-unquote stars, but they got 1 superstar. And I think it's been great for Russ to have Paul George on occasion, because last night was an occasion.
Yeah.
Utah is really good. This is going to go 7 games. It's going to go to the last drop. And last night, Paul George was dropping threes from everywhere. He's dropping shots from everywhere.
Well, and the thing is, both of these guys, I didn't know Victor Oladipo was this good of a defender, but he can really get up into you.
And he led the league in steals.
Yes, and so not only sometimes you steal. Look at Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was not a great on-ball defender, but he had great hands. He could play passing lanes, and he get them. Victor Oladipo can get up into people, and he does a very good job. And those shots, every run that the Cleveland, when you thought, okay, here they come, he's pulling up for 28. and he's splashing it. He's getting out there, he's putting them in pick and roll, and he's dancing on Larry Nance Jr., he's dancing on Kevin Love, and there was really nothing that the Cavaliers can do. He seems to have found a home. Now, Paul George said he wanted to win, but Paul George wanted to be the reason why they were winning. Now, the question is, can he be comfortable moving forward? Because it's never going to be his team. As long as Russ is there, it's never going to be his team.
Yep.
He had a team in Indy, but he didn't think he had enough around him to get past LeBron, or he didn't have enough to be serious threat to win a title. The question is, can he be comfortable? Because, you know, most superstars, Skip, they want to drive the bus. Being in the first seat is not driving the bus. They want to drive. And Paul George stomach being the number 2 guy moving forward, because that's all he's ever going to be in Oklahoma City.
I think it's a comfort zone for him. And by the way, Sabonis, as Joy pointed out, was thrown into this deal, and he comes off the bench for them, and he didn't have much of a game yesterday. But he is 6'11", and he's skilled, and he can pass it. He's not his daddy. You remember his daddy?
Yeah, Arvidas.
His daddy could really play. But he's pretty good, and he gives them some pretty quality depth on that team. So, again, it turned out much better than most people, if not everybody, thought for Indiana. But I still say it's really good for Oklahoma City, too. It's like it worked.
Yeah. I mean, everybody thought they got fleeced. But, Skip, it was reported that Dan Gilbert wanted to take Victor Oladipo #1 overall, and he got talked out of it, and they took Anthony Bennett.
That was a bad idea.
So
That's an all-time bad idea.
If you notice, the general manager is not there anymore. The personnel department is not there anymore. Because see, the guy, if the owner he makes a mistake, Skip, what can you do? You make a mistake. If he says, I want this guy, and you talk him off that ledge, and you go to the other guy, and that guy's a bust, you got to go.
He went.
No mercy. The Patriots voluntary workout program starts today, but according to Adam Schefter, it will not include Rob Gronkowski. Gronk is reportedly still considering whether to play next season, but he's had, quote, good communication with the team. Tom Brady is also not expected to be at workouts because he is out of the country with his family. Last month, NBC Sports in Boston reported Bill Belichick was making some of the Patriots players, quote, miserable, and a lot of it centered around Brady's trainer, Alex Guerrero. Our next guest was a 3-time Pro Bowler with the Dolphins in the 90s. He then won a Super Bowl with the Patriots in 2002, and he was the defensive line coach for the Falcons in their NFC Championship season. Brian Cox, welcome to Undisputed.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
Good to have you. Brian, is the team turning on Belichick?
No, not possible. No. I think what you're seeing is Gronk trying to get out of off-season conditioning. I don't want to play. But Bill is direct, and sometimes when you take on a superstar, whether it be Tom Brady or Gronkowski, then the other players say, okay, I need to stay out of the way. And, you know, Bill is smart enough to know when you have players that you depend on in the playoffs and coming off of long seasons, sometimes you give them a little leeway and let them miss a couple things so that they can get their bodies right, get their minds right, and come back full-fledged, ready to go.
I think this has, with Gronk, more to do with a contract than him possibly retiring, because he's clearly outperformed the contract that he signed 3 or 4 years ago. But it seems to me that the Patriots are unwilling to renegotiate. But how high can you go? If Tom Brady's making $15 million, Skip, you give Gronk 16, you give Gronk 17, and that's the problem that you're going to run in with the New England Patriots as long as Tom Brady's on that roster, because Tom Brady has always played for less than market value.
Yes.
So how can anybody else get market value if the best player in the NFL, arguably in the history of the game, has played for less than market value? Coach Belichick said, "Man, get out of my office. You see what I'm paying Tom Brady? You think I'm about to give you more than him? Get out of my office."
Who represents Gronk?
I have no idea.
I think Rosenhaus, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
that could possibly be.
That's one of his marquee trademarks. Let's play with it. Let's bring up the retirement. You can go with that. That's an old story.
Coach Belichick says, "Okay."
It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I've been around Bill Belichick, you know, the 2 years in New York as my coordinator, the 1 year as a head coach. The man is smart. The difference between him and some of the other great coaches is, by nature, he don't care what people think. I couldn't tell you one thing about what he is off the field. I love him to death. The man is a genius coach. He always has said to me, I would always give up a little bit more money so that I can have more power. There's nothing that goes in and on in that building that he does not directly have a hand on.
So, Brian Cox, you did play for this man, but it was a long time ago. And I beg to differ with you because the tea leaves I'm reading, again from a distance, it feels like this team is turning on Bill Belichick.
You can frame it any way you want to, but I'm just telling you, the man has all the power. And he makes less money. We don't know what amount of money he makes. He still does.
He used to until the last trade deadline when the owner stepped in and forced him to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Bill did not want to do it.
Didn't happen. Let's look at this. Let's look at this, Skip, because I find that ironic. Okay, Bob Kraft never steps in and does anything. You have to trade Garoppolo at that point because if you don't trade him at the deadline, he walks away at the end of the year and you get nothing. They got a couple draft picks for the guy. That's better than what they would have got had he stayed on the roster.
No, he wasn't going to walk away for nothing. Coach Belichick was going to put him in the lineup. They were going to move out with Tom Brady.
No,
it was done deal.
That is never going to happen. You know what he called Tom Brady? He don't call him Tom. He called him champ. You know what that means? You've done more for me in my life, in my career with winning these games that you can stay as long as you want to stay. And I would be a guy that would say when Tom Brady walks away, Bill Belichick walks away.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
I'm just saying.
Me too.
I'm just saying.
I think Bill he saw an opportunity to prove he could go win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady.
No.
He was going to push him out the back door into the sunset. And if he landed somewhere else, San Francisco, wherever else Tom wanted to finish, like Joe Montana finished in Kansas City, we can go on and on. A lot of great quarterbacks had to finish elsewhere. Bill wanted him to finish elsewhere.
No. And the reason why I say that this was a Bill Belichick decision, the only organization that he holds in a higher regard than the New England Patriots, the New York Giants, that job was open this year. If he was made to do something, he would have jumped ship and went to the Giants. End of story.
I think there was a lot of that going on. I think that had
no, because if it was going on, he would have just bolted.
You know?
That's the way Bill does business. He said, "I'm out of here."
So then Bill bolted on the Patriots because he basically gave Jimmy Garoppolo away for a second-round pick when Cleveland would have offered a high first because they had 1 and 4, maybe that fourth overall pick. And he said, I didn't want to send Jimmy to an organization like Cleveland, or that was the report. He didn't say it publicly.
He did right by him. But at the end of the day, again, it's Bill's decision. Robert Kraft, the best thing he does is the Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick school of owning. You own the team, I'll coach the team. You step in the box, I run the organization. That's the way it has been. That's the way it always will be.
There's a big bombshell ESPN report that said that Robert Kraft ordered him to trade Jimmy Garoppolo.
And I don't believe it.
Okay.
I don't believe it.
So then we come full circle to the Super Bowl, and it sure looked to me like Bill Belichick sabotaged their ability to win Tom Brady's 6th Super Bowl because he did not play Malcolm Butler, who played 98% of the defensive snaps. He didn't play him one play in the Super Bowl. And a bunch of Patriots, including Damian Amendola, who's now with the Miami Dolphins, are speaking out against Belichick like, what was that? Because we got no explanation and it made no sense.
Because they don't need an explanation. I'm the boss. That's why I said it. That's what we're doing. Period.
And that's his philosophy.
That's it.
He's the only coach, I believe, that could have made a decision like this and offer you no explanation of why he did what he did.
He's the only coach in the NFL that have drafted some busts over the last couple of years and nobody questions it because the man wins. He knows how to put it. He goes against the trend. Everybody wants big wide receivers now. He goes against little wide receivers. Everybody needs these gigantic run-blocking offensive linemen, pass-protecting offensive linemen. I go draft a guy in the 6th round, and he'll start for me for 10 years at left tackle. The guy goes against the trend. He finds players. But the thing that I found interesting, talking to him last year was he don't even live in New England during the winter. He lives in Jupiter, Florida. So they're up there working in the office, and he down in Jupiter.
I can't blame him for that, but...
Well, I want to know one thing. It's been something been gnawing at me for a long time. What the hell happened to the Falcons in that Super Bowl since you up there laughing and talking all this? What happened?
Hey, man.
You was the D-line coach. Why couldn't you continue to put pressure on Tom Brady?
Hey, man, we set 3 Super Bowl records. My guys played as hard and as well as they could. I think I failed them in the sense that I didn't play enough guys early to keep my guys fresh. And we were doing so well, and we were putting so much pressure on Tom. We hit him 11 times in the first half. We sacked him 5 times in the Super Bowl. Grady Jarrett had 3 sacks, and then we hit him 18 times total in the game. That's the most he had been hit since the New York Giants Super Bowl. My mistake was I did not play different guys early in the game to let my guys stay fresh enough to finish the game off.
Because they end up playing over 90 snaps.
Yeah.
That's a lot of snaps in an NFL game.
Yeah, but as you know, you can count about the snaps, but when you're playing for a championship, are you willing to die for it?
Yeah. You're right.
And we didn't get it done. So I hold that on my shoulders. I take responsibility for that. You know, when I look back, I say this new perspective. See, I'm working on myself.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I'm working on myself.
You know I know.
Right. Because usually I do want to fight. But the new perspective, I just think that, we're talking about the Dez thing. What could I have done different?
Right.
And when I look at it, that's what I could have done differently to maybe change the outcome of the game.
All right, fast forward one more year back to Malcolm Butler. As a defensive coach, can you see any explanation for why he didn't play a single snap?
Something had to happen. He had to be late. Or it could have been as simple as I can remember being in New England, and this wasn't in the Super Bowl, but I broke my leg in the Super Bowl year. And I can remember coming back, and I can remember Belichick coming to me on the Monday and saying, "You ain't playing this week, I ain't dressing you." Why? Which one of these running backs or tight ends can you cover? None. Well, you don't need to play. It could have been something as simple as that. I don't know. I wasn't there. But Bill is not going to try to throw a game because why? He could become the all-time greatest if he wins that Super Bowl. So he's not going to sabotage.
He already the greatest.
Yeah, but I think so. I played for 3 Hall of Famers in my opinion. Bill Parcells, Don Shula, and Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. All of them great in their own right. All of them know how to handle players. That's the difference of a great coach to me. You get all these young coaches
players
now.
handle you.
Right. Well. At the end of the day, I love all those guys, and I can call any of them and get a recommendation.
Right.
And that says something about the relationship. Belichick changed the way people thought about me in the NFL. Parcells is like my father. I don't make a decision in my life until I call and talk to him. Mm. And Don Shula, last time I seen him, he flipped me in the finger and said, "You taught me everything I know." So I love those guys, man, and I'm just proud of the success and the tree that I come from. You know, everybody don't see it that way. We play tough, and if you saw 30 for 30, we don't care about your feelings and your emotions. Yeah. We come, this is what you do. Now, I'm trying to adapt and become something different because every time I turn on the TV and somebody mentions Brian Cox, my past come up. Everybody got a past. Right. Some of which I'm not proud of. I'm hoping to change it. I'm a new man now. New perspective.
I can see it. Because when you play, I knew you when you played, and then I knew you at the tail end. You a lot different now today as you sit here with us than you were back then.
Yeah, because back then I think perspective. We talk about perspective. I went to counseling. Since I got fired, I went to counseling because I wanted to make sure everything was good. And Dr. Verdi Leatherman in Houston, Texas, she taught me perspective. More than anything else, in my marriage, in my job. They say you can get fired from your job, but if it's your work, it's a lifetime journey. So football is my journey, whether I coach, not coach. If that's my end in the Super Bowl walking off, it's not a bad ending. And my son's beginning as a Carolina Panthers defensive lineman, I'm for it. I mean, if somebody were to call me and ask me about coaching, we'll discuss it, but I'm not chasing it anymore. Football at one point was my God, and it's not anymore.
Good for you.
Well
done.
Thanks so much for joining us, Brian. Appreciate it. No mercy. You can read all about our next guest in his new book, No Malice, My Life in Basketball. It comes out next month. He'll also be playing in the Big Three this summer. Meta World Peace, welcome back.
Thanks for having me once again.
Wait, is it no malice ... at the palace? Is that what you're saying?
It's no malice. The title, the editors, you know how they do their thing. They make up something, and that's what they wanted to go with, and I said, fine.
Why did you decide to write the book?
Well, I don't really care about a book like that, and some people thought my life was interesting. I said, all right, cool, let's do a book. And then it took me a while to kind of open up, but I said, hey, we're going to do a book. Let's just keep it 100% real, and I want to show more of my life and not just talk about the brawl. So the book is pretty uncensored, a lot of graphic things in the book. That's it. I just wanted it to be real.
Well, we love that. Let's be real about the Cavs now. They were blown out at home to the Pacers yesterday, and there was more bad blood between LeBron and Lance Stephenson. They were talking throughout the game, and Lance even got a technical foul for hitting LeBron in the head late in the third quarter. After the game, Lance said, quote, "I've been doing it all season. I'm not going to stop now." So, Meta, how much do you think that Lance bothers LeBron?
I just spoke to Lance the other day. You know, he's from New York, and he's a friend. I like him, but I don't think he bothers LeBron. LeBron, you can't bother LeBron. He's too big, too strong, too good. But I like what Lance is doing. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Does Lance have some meta in him, would you say?
I mean, I think we're different, but he might have a little bit. You know, defensively, people thought I would hack, but I would just cut my man off and take up space, so it felt like I was hacking, and I was just locking people down. But I think we're different. You know,
How?
I think, the year I got Defensive Player of the Year, the average small forward, the points was 6 points. You know, so sometimes people had 0. You know, like I held people to 0.
So you're just saying you're a lot better than LeBron.
I'm not saying better, just different.
Just different.
But you averaged 20 points in the season.
And I averaged 20 points while I was keeping people to 6 points.
And body type-wise, you had the same sort of stature?
I think so. I was a little bit bigger. I was 260. Yeah. You know, but Lance is like, you know, he got the handle. I want to see Lance just play ball really and just like, because he's a good player. I don't want to see him try to take LeBron out of his game.
That's him. I mean, if Lance tried to do anything other than what he does right now, I don't believe he can play because that's who he is. It's almost like, you know, I just don't see him playing without the shenanigans, Skip. I mean, and everybody says, well, just Lance, you're so good of a player.
Yeah.
Just go play ball without the shenanigans, without the blowing in the ear and all this other. But that's a part of his stick. So, but it don't bother Bron. Because Bron ain't bothered by nobody, especially him. Because 27, 8, and 7, 53% shooting said Lance ain't getting up under his skin. He just happened to average 28, 9, and 7 for a career in the playoffs.
My
so
goodness.
I don't.
My goodness.
If he bothered him, I don't know what bother him some more, Lance. Really bother him. I want you to really bother him on Wednesday.
I think Lance does bother LeBron to the point that he just irritates him. Lance is more than a gnat would bother you, more than a fly would bother you. He's more like a wasp would bother you when it just keeps circling and circling and you just swat it away and you just like
you just wait for him to run into the light. Yeah. You cut the light on, just run up, and then he on the ground.
Yep.
LeBron is massive.
I know he's massive. And if Lance tries to guard him in the low post, he cannot guard him because Lance is 6'5". LeBron is 4 inches taller than Lance and probably outweighs him by
maybe 40, maybe 30 pounds.
30, 40 pounds. So if he gets him low post, he just bangs him and bullies him and bounces him out of the way and lays it up. And he did that a couple times yesterday. But I don't mind it when Lance hard fouls LeBron. And if it's going to take a flagrant or a technical or whatever it is, it's okay with me because you just take your pound of psychological flesh. I don't know if you ever did that, just hard foul just to make them think that you let them know you're there.
Well, when we came in 99, you can do that. Now I don't. I think you can do it now. I don't know. I think the rules.
Well, that's a flagrant.
Yesterday they just called it a tack, which I don't really understand.
I don't either. It's either flagrant 1 or 2.
He swiped him right across the head.
Yeah. And they talk about he got ball. He hit LeBron ball head. That's what he hit. That's the ball he got.
He did.
But LeBron held his composure. Because
he
you know
did.
back in the day when he's a kid from Akron, he gave him a 2-piece. But he said, you know what? I'm more important to my team in this ball game. I know some of y'all try to get me out of my game, but I ain't gonna lash out. But just know.
I wish I had that. When I was young, anytime somebody would hit me, I just would react. I remember in the playoffs, it was game 6. We was in Detroit, and then Richard Hamilton kind of hit me in the groin area.
You were in Indiana then.
I was in Indiana. Game was tied, like a minute left, and I elbowed him in the face. Technical foul. They make 2 free throws and score up 4, and they win by 4. You know, and that was like to go to the finals.
Right.
You know, and
And how old were you at that point?
I was 23. And but LeBron, the total opposite. LeBron, Kobe, Kawhi Leonard, they just put it all into the game. I admire that.
He just brought up Kawhi Leonard, where is he now?
I know. My favorite player.
But because he's two-way, and you know they got some great two-way players. But in that Kobe and LeBron, right now we ain't gonna put Kawhi in there because I need to see more than 2 years before I say a guy's great. When Kobe played,
I need to see somebody who doesn't quit on the San Antonio Spurs, and then we can have this conversation.
I'll tell you what happened. I think he's hurt, and if your play is hurt, can you commit to still giving him the max? If he gets hurt, no. So I don't know the problem, but something's up.
Isaiah Thomas. He saw what happened to Isaiah Thomas.
Yes,
Isaiah Thomas left $150 million on the table. Kawhi's in line to get 5 years, $217.
Okay.
Now he's gonna get all that max, Skip.
But if he gets hurt.
Huh?
They're going to trade him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna. He won't fire you. We go ahead and take him.
Well, I
Y'all
thought
want
you
Larry
didn't like
Nance?
him.
Y'all
I
want
thought you
Larry
were
Nance?
tell me how he's no good.
I mean, he'd be great with LeBron.
Yeah.
Can you meet two to 2-3?
Yeah. Oh, good for
It's
you.
over.
I remember when I was playing, and I played with ligaments torn in my hand, so my scoring was down. But then when it was contract time, they're like, "Oh, well, your average is down." Well, I'm saying I'm playing with fresh off surgery, like they don't take that into consideration. So
when you would guard a great player, I can't remember if you guarded LeBron some. I guess you did. Did you cross over
I
enough
did.
a little bit?
I did.
Did you talk much? Because Lance
No.
constantly talks.
I didn't talk much. The only person I did talk to was Kobe, because I had to. Because, if you didn't talk to Kobe, he's just going to eat you alive, and you got to say something.
So what would you say?
You horrible, you're nothing, easy work tonight, you're not on my level.
Maybe not the smartest thing to say. I don't know.
Stuff like that. And Kobe would look at me like, look at this guy.
What was going through your mind when you pulled Paul Pierce shorts down?
When I pulled Paul Pierce shorts down, I was like, okay, what can I do to not get ejected, but to bother Paul because he's killing me right now? And I figured that was the best thing I can do. Rest, no tech. He still hit the three, oh my goodness, with his shorts down. Unbelievable.
So it didn't work.
It did not work.
Yeah. So if you could talk to Lance right now ahead of game 2, you would tell him to do what?
Just have a good season, be Lance, and like play ball, like get 8 rebounds and 8 assists and 15 points, And then, that's it. I want to see that from Lance.
He can play. I mean, he can
Oh,
score.
he can get that. Because they had, a couple of nights ago, he had like 8 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. But he can't play. That's a part of him. That's inbred in him now. So those shenanigans, he gonna give you that spark off the bench. But he got the trash talk. He got a hot dog, little spin, little dipsy do.
See, he's good enough to make a big play in the fourth quarter. He's good enough to.
Oh yeah.
Game's tied, get a steal or cross over Lance and one. Like, wow, next round. He's good enough to do that stuff. And that's what I want to see from Lance.
Can I ask you a question? Did you save Kobe's legacy when you hit that 3 against Boston in Game 7?
Well, he made my legacy, for one. And then...
You saved his legacy, didn't you? Go ahead and say it,
I'm not going to tell you I saved Kobe Bryant.
Say it, man!
I got his shoes on. I went to his office past summer. No, I can't say that.
Shannon,
I'm just saying.
Trying to open the door.
Why you say nothing?
LeBron James would be 2-6 in the finals without Ray Allen. That's what he's talking about.
I ain't
Ray
say
Allen
nothing.
shot. 2-6. Would you like that? How would that sound? 2-6 doesn't sound nearly as good as 3-5.
That's a good point. So I think the most important championships that I've witnessed are the Detroit Pistons. Mm-hmm. They had no stars. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to say sometimes the Spurs. Every now and then they had just a good team. Mm-hmm. And I can argue with the Warriors. The Warriors did not have stars before they won the championship. True. They became stars.
Yeah.
So every other team, the Bulls, Lakers, everybody, they all have power teams. Mm-hmm. And now the new Warriors got a power team with Durant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Cavs ain't no power team. They just got Bron.
Mm. They better
Actually, I'm sorry. LeBron he had a team.
Yeah, I keep telling you, he's a team by himself.
Mm-hmm. He took a couple teams to that final that had no reason to be there. You could have been on that team. You could have been the coach.
You heard what he said, Skip? You heard what he said? Now, this man played
LeBron's
18 years. You heard what he said?
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back again tomorrow morning at 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.